So it's levels to everything, right? And see, the point is to have a personal relationship with your higher self. So therefore you can access a personal relationship with the divine. So there is not a such thing which you can't talk about. You can talk to the divine about anything because that's relatance. That's you relaying in that energy to that pretense or that energy source. But there is a specific way that you can graduate to within your conversation that allows you to speak more fluently to the energies that are trying to contact you and allow you to be better within your own personal frequency in life and what that's going to mean for you. So you're going through stuff just so you can understand what that is. So the more you go through stuff, there is a conversation with that. There is a diagram or a explanation and a way of speaking towards these circumstances that take place to you. And that acknowledgement factor, moreover than the actual circumstances taking place, has sediments to it. And those sediments are responding into what you mean when you ask things. So the universe tests you. It's like you'll say something and then, you'll get put in a situation similar to see how well you're ready to graduate from something that you subsequently always deal with. Because we deal with ciphers and cycles. And because we deal in cycles, we are innate to recreate or reprocess another set of energies because we are cycletic individuals. But to be able to graduate from that cycle and go to a higher level, it describes growth, just like a tree. So every ring that a tree puts out, every cipher, every cycle that a tree puts out, it grows. It expands into a higher, stronger form, frequency, able to pull more electrical value in and grow and do whatever it needs to do for whatever its purpose is, right? You know what I'm saying? So in similar aspects, we are cycling and we are growing past the cycle. You don't want your rings to be so tight that you never get big. You want to be able to understand that ring and expand that space and then create a new ring and expand that space. And you want to keep doing this until you expand your consciousness and awareness and characteristics of oneself. The point of this build is particularly about the conversation of prayer. So as I travel through experiencing the situations that allow me to distinguish one thing from another, the conversation change, because you're not going to keep saying the same thing after you learn from that energy. So you might ask for something particularly to that energy, but then you'll learn from it, and now your conversation is different because you're actually tempering and changing your actual self. So, example, you might pray for things to be better. Just as, you don't want things to be better for you. You know what I'm saying? You're always going through some shit. So then you go through something else, right? But your response to that go through something else was the same. So you didn't show that you wanted the difference because you didn't do anything different. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's just that serious. Like, did you respond the same way? Or did you respond different? So then after you learn, oh, you know what? I would have normally did this that way. Now I'm doing this. And you say, I see what happens when I remove myself from that energy, what takes place afterwards, the fact. Now you have a different understanding to how you involve yourself in certain things. So now your prayer may change. You may say, allow me to see my actions better so I don't put myself in circumstances like I might have out of not understanding from before. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that simple. Like, as you graduate and you start to understand yourself, you start to speak different. So, how real are you being with the learning lessons that you have learned from your own particular actions that you may be dealing with? And that is important because it's not about the outlook on the world, it's about the in look. You're trying to get into the higher self. The higher self doesn't listen to the bullshit or the ranting. It wants to hear you understand where you went wrong at and your involvement. Even if it's a small involvement, it always wants you to take responsibility. And the more you take responsibility, the less your involvement is into particular things that may subsequently keep you in a place to where circumstances are always happening. How do you learn yourself first and foremost? You're not supposed to be addicted to the things that hurt you. You're supposed to be pushing away from those things and pulling in things that are beneficial for you. So that grows you. So if it's beneficial for you, that means it's giving you some form of a value. So that means you're growing from it. So there's a conversation to all of this. There's wordplay to all of this. This is diagrams, this is feelings, this is explanation. This is, oh, wow, this is the light bulb moment. This is a whole bunch of these situations that are taking place while you learn from yourself. I said in like other of my builds, self-learning is the most fulfilling thing you're ever going to deal with in your whole entire life because it's going to constantly teach you something all the way to the last day. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing more fulfilling than learning yourself on the face of this planet. I think it's like learning the earth is like second. You know what I'm saying? Like learning yourself, you know what I'm saying, is like the most fulfilling thing in the whole, you know what I'm saying? I think it's like, but if you could learn the universe, you'll never be able to get that far out, you know what I'm saying, from this aspect. So that would be particular, you know what I'm saying, like too impossible, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, learning yourself is the ultimate thing. Learning the world is like the second because you're always going to be fulfilled as you learn these new things. You know what I'm saying? Like studying other people takes too much time away from learning you. So that's something that shouldn't even happen. That's why we don't deal with judgment. But with that being said, there's conversation and there's paragraphs and understanding and description and definition to these circumstances as you train your characteristic traits. And as you train your characteristic traits, you are particularly learning how to deal with yourself. So then when you reach up to the higher self, you can speak in that attribute because now you're telling the higher self you are learning from your personal mistakes. You're learning from the damage that you may cause in your life. You're learning from separating and sacrificing your will in order to do what's right for you. So with that being said, that is how I approach the value of what I'm going to attach when I start to think about what I'm going to pray for. After going through these things and subsequently looking at my role in certain things, then I temper what and how I will do certain things because I agree to the contract. You see what I'm saying? Like, so that's where the sincerity comes from when I start to pray. I'm going to sincerely look at my personal actions because that may need to change. Or I'm going to strengthen some qualities that are given to me by divine pretense because they worked in a certain way. That's appreciation. Moreover than that, I'm going to give thanks for the understanding that's taking place. I'm going to give thanks for learning, and I'm going to give thanks for what's to come within non-seen things because there's more learning to take place. You never know enough. You never know anything. You just grow through what you think you know. And you be able to attach the characteristic that fits you best to move through what we call the system of things. Innately, you're supposed to attach the divine to everything before everything. moreover than anything, before everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's always supposed to be the divine there before every judgment or choice you make. You're supposed to put the divine there. So therefore, these choices and motions you make, they come out to their best of ability. So you already know the vibes, man. Like, the conversation is not, and you know, everybody has a particular perception. So I'm not going to sit there and give you like words like, yo, you should say this or you should say that, because it's mostly feelings. How did you learn from your own mistakes? Well, you only know the conversation. That's why the relationship with the divine is sincere. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a personal relationship. So your prayers really are going to be personal. Everybody's not going to be able to talk how you talk. So understanding that is something different. But, you know, access your higher self to get to the divine creator. You already know the vibes. It's your boy, Naga.